All right. Hello and good Monday morning. This is Victoria Hill, the Public Information Officer for the City of Billings, and we're hosting a series of podcasts this week focused on the Parks, Recreation, and Trails bond. Ballots are going to go out on the 18th, so coming up here in 2 days, and we want to go over a variety of topics to inform folks so they know what they're voting for. They can make the best decision that they think what we should do next on this Parks, Recreation, and Trails bond. And so today we have two guests with us. We have
Issues by um, getting people deferred and directed out of the justice system. And one of the best ways to do that is through the well-developed parks. So on that end of it, that's where the correlation is.
And I also wanted to hit on this concept of connecting children and our youth with parks and recreation opportunities, and excuse me, how that will have an impact, if not immediate, then later on down the line with domestic violence.
Yeah, absolutely. Domestic violence accounts for close to 50% of the assaults, whether it's misdemeanor or aggravated, that we saw last year. And a lot of those are learned habits in a dysfunctional family setting. We know that there are no father figures. We know that they learned it somewhere. And if we could eliminate or minimize those incidents, then our crime, at least on the assault side, would just drop off the table. And so, certainly we need to break that cycle. And one way to do that is to engage the youth of our community with programs, with facilities, things that are going to really occupy them in positive ways, not, running around at night without supervision, because that, as we know, nothing good comes of that. And of late, some pretty serious incidents have come of just that situation.
Yeah, that's true. And now let's move over to the SEPTED conversation with Sergeant West and talking about, just give us a brief overview of what SEPTED is, first of all.
So SEPTED's been around for a while. It's not new in law enforcement, but it is new in our community. So a group of not just police personnel, but people from around city departments got to go through SEPTED training about 6 months ago, and it kind of really opened our eyes and started planning of how we could use this in our community. So we actually put together a committee. It's made up of multiple departments throughout our city, and ultimately we're kind of starting to plan how we're going to implement that into our community.
And let's talk about the SEPTED principles, because if this bond passes, then each of the project sites will be built with SEPTED principles. So let's talk about what those principles are.
Right. So we talk about natural surveillance, and that's a big deterrent, is whether law enforcement driving by, and we'll just talk about parks because that's what we're talking about. So law enforcement driving by and being able to see criminal activity, or even citizens in that neighborhood able to see that park. And we can do that by cleaning up trees, shrubs. And one of the biggest problems that all of our parks have in our city is lack of lighting, right? So if you go out after dark and you drive around these parks, they're beautiful in the daytime, but at night they're completely dark, which invites criminal activity. People know they can't be seen.
Right. And we have, for anyone watching on Facebook Live, we do have an example on the screen right now. This photo was taken at North Park, and we have one of the picnic shelters there. It does a comparison of before lighting and then after lighting and applying those SEPTED principles. So that's just one example of the difference that people can expect to see around our parks. Do you have any other things in the works, Sergeant West, to apply SEPTED to our parks as of right now?
So actually, tomorrow, or no, Wednesday this week, myself and Nick Miller from Parks, we're going out and we're going to do evaluations on the skate park, and then we're going to do an evaluation on Optimus Park. And those are going to be our first evaluations that we go at, find what the problems are. And then we have an awesome crime analyst with the city of Billings, and we used her to pull numbers on these parks so we can actually focus on what problems that we have in those parks and guide how we're going to fix those problems.
All right. Well, that's our conversation on public safety and SEPTED. Is there anything else either of you wanted to add or mention at all that folks should keep in mind or maybe realize that we have going on in our community when this applies to parks, recs, trails, and public safety at all?
Well, I think one thing that needs to be pointed out is that when we look at the violence problem, and let's obviously just talking about Billings here, we need to look at it from a public health standpoint as well. I mean, truly, if we can get a handle on that, we are presenting opportunities to find solutions to create healthy spaces for our citizens. And really, that's what this initiative is all about. What Nate was referring to is really the nuts and bolts on how we get there to make those parks safe, and make them, easy for us or easier for us to police and, get some social buy-in and stock from the community that this, people care about what the parks look like. And it speaks volumes when you have, facilities that are well kept, well maintained, and well used.
And you mentioned the words getting there. People want answers now, they want solutions right now. But what is the reality when it comes to public safety and I mean, getting there?
Certainly. Well, parks apart. I mean, it took us 10 years of slowly getting where we were at to probably all-time worst numbers ever in 2020. And so, with the implementation of not one but two safety levies, we were able to apply resources and strategies which have systematically turned those numbers the other way. However, it's taken a couple years and we're not where we need to be yet. And so I think it's the same concept here. There's a lot of parks, there's a lot of projects, and there's a lot of, overarching concerns about safety. So as we, implement all the things that Nate's talking about, what the parks want to do with things, that then we will slowly start seeing those improvements which are going to affect public safety to the positive. But you took a little while to get there, and so it's going to take a little while to get it where we want.
And there's also questions right now around why the Parks, Recreation, and Trails bond right now when we have so much more going on in our community. And one of those talking points that people bring up is the jail. Why are we not investing in the jail? Well, partially the city was just happens to be ready right now to pursue this Parks, Recreation, and Trails bond. And so, Chief, why not put our focus on the jail right now?
Well, our focus is on the jail right now, and we are in very active conversations with our community partners, specifically the sheriff and the county commissioners, looking for solutions. And again, a big part of that is to divert people out of the justice system. And I want to make it very clear, and on the presentations that I've been on, that we definitely need a jail expansion. We are grossly under jail celled, if you will, for a community this size. And there are some really bad people doing bad things that need to be in jail. I will never discount that. However, one of the strategies is to keep people out of there that shouldn't be. We have people with co-occurring addiction issues, mental health, that are clogging up the system. Other agencies, Department of Corrections for the state of Montana has a fair number of inmates there. These are things that we can work on to reduce the capacity issues there. But the one big thing that we've always talked about is let's divert people out if we can. So like I said, there's people that need to be there, but what we're looking at here are young families, kids, that if we can engage them early on, then we won't have to deal with them down the road, and that would help our issue with the jail. Bottom line, we need both at this point.
And the way I look at it is it's almost like a puzzle piece. I mean, there's multiple parts to making a safe and healthy community. And so this would be one part or one piece that we are trying to tackle right now. And this past summer, Parks and Rec hosted for the first time Rec to You. So that did give kids some activities to do over the summer when otherwise they might be, sitting home playing video games, not being mobile. So that's one of the attempts that we're making to give the youth some options out there. So while we're having this conversation, Sergeant West, I also wanted to ask, we have, people are questioning SEPTED and how helpful it could be to our community. So I know one of the questions I came across was, are some lights really going to stop people from doing something bad in a park or in the neighborhood?
And so we have ordinances. People aren't supposed to be in the parks at night, but they know they can get into parks. They know they're dark. They know that the police are busy and they're going to go into parks and hang out and do criminal activity and more than likely get away with it. We spend some money. We make those parks well lit. Whether it's a neighbor in the area sees something suspicious, or it's maybe an officer driving by on his way to a call and he sees people in the park that shouldn't be, whereas he wouldn't have if they weren't well lit. He can stop and enforce that and get them out of there.
And we had a conversation last week about SEPTED and building these things right off the bat. So if the bond passes and these plans come together with SEPTED in mind, it's more cost effective the first time around rather than building something and then trying to go back and build with SEPTED principles.
Correct, and we're talking about parks right now, but there are communities around the nation that actually have implemented this into their state codes. So, like when they start a building plan for a new building or a school, like SEPTED principles are introduced to that to make it more safe from the get-go. And really, there's not a bunch of extra cost that goes into it when you do it as part of your planning and development. So, I can't say we're going to go that route. We've talked about it in our planning, but I think it'd be more beneficial in the long run. And we're talking about parks right now, but you can use it for businesses, you can use it for residential. So the concepts are beneficial and useful in every aspect of our community.
Yeah, and while we're chatting about SEPTED here, if there's somebody watching or listening that is interested in having maybe an expert come by and offer some guidance on SEPTED principles for their property, does the Crime Prevention Center offer that as an option?
We do have some checklists, and we'd be more than happy to send somebody out and go over a residence or just answer questions. So they can contact me here at the Crime Prevention Center.
Okay. All right. Excellent. And I asked Chief, anything else that comes to mind that you wanted to share with folks that you think is an important takeaway or something that they should have in mind?
We wouldn't be trying to use this if we didn't think it was going to be beneficial. And I know that public perception in our community is that crime is out of control. And crime it's here. It's going to stay here. And if you think about law enforcement, our officers on patrol, they're out responding to calls, so they're being reactive to crime, right? Well, this is our opportunity to be proactive and try to prevent crime. So statistically around the nation, communities that have implemented SEPTED into their community have seen a decrease in crime from 30 to 80% from the issues that they're trying to fix. So it's proven beneficial. And that's why we want to use it.
All right. I know I've taken some steps at my home to include some more lighting that stays on overnight and clearing all the brush from back out behind the alley, because if you think of it, that really would give somebody an opportunity to hide and maybe do something that they're trying to hide from the public. So again, the ballots will go out on October 18th. They are due by November 7th. So anyone watching this live stream, they have some details there on their screen. There's 16 different project locations, and the overall goal is to enhance the health and safety of Billings. And so we have projects just entirely across the city of Billings. And we're also going to have some more guests on this week. We have later today coming on, we have our city administrator and our finance director. We're going to have conversations about public health. We're going to have conversations about Parks and Rec themselves and the impact that it'll have on business. And so if you're looking for any information, you can visit the website that's on the screen or scan the QR code. You can visit billingsmt.gov/parksbond 2023 and $143 million bond is the ask that you'll see on your ballot. Overall, it's $173 million in total projects, but with contributions from members of our community and organizations, we're able to bring that total down in the ask to $143 million. Well, I wanted to thank both of you for joining us today. And if you have any questions, anyone's watching this after the fact and has any questions, you can submit them in the comment section, or you can send a message to the inbox. You can visit the questions form on the Parks Bond webpage that we have and submit a question there, and we will get you an answer. Thank you so much for being here with us and listening and watching, and we'll catch you next time.